Hey guys, so when I first started OBS, I actually learned the hard way. When it comes to streaming, a lot of the best and most successful streamers, when asked where someone should start, they usually will say, just jump in head first and start doing content. Because if you don't start doing content, you won't get good at it. And while that's really good advice, and you definitely want to make sure that you're putting content out there and you're practicing, I also wish that I had a video like the one I'm about to show you that will make my stream design a lot more efficient. And one of those efficiencies that I'm going to show you in this video is the technique of using nested scenes. Not only am I going to show you what nested scenes are, but I'm going to give you 3 of my most useful examples for beginners, explaining why using this technique is not only crucial for streamers, but also will save you much needed time if you want to put out plenty of quality content. Before we get started, take a look at my description below where I have my Twitch page. It's twitch.tv/theroguevanian. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Take part in the chat. It's a lot of fun and hope to see you guys there. But let's stop stalling and get started. So you guys are probably asking yourself, what is a nested scene? And really it sounds kind of fancy, but in reality, all it is that you're using another scene as a source. So when you do that, it imports everything from the scene that you're using, and it imports all that information. So it'll make things a lot easier for you. You can utilize this in basic ways or really complex ways, where you could have scenes within scenes within scenes within scenes within.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
Within scenes?
Yeah. Now, if you're not following me at this point, that's okay, because I don't expect you to completely understand what I'm saying, especially if you're not experienced in OBS. But I'm going to show you 3 of my most useful examples, explaining in detail how they all work. Use these 3 examples and people are going to think you're a genius. Well, I mean, stay humble, but they are pretty cool. Maybe I think they're cool. Look, just keep watching. Example number 1 is camera and video stacks. And what I mean by that is you're going to set 2 separate scenes, one for your camera devices and one for your video output devices. Your camera devices are going to be all of your cameras that you have. Your video output devices could be your browser window and, let's say, your video capture card. Okay, just to reiterate what I just explained, as you can see, I have 2 scenes here. I have my camera stack scene and my video stack scene. In my camera stack scene, what I do is I click the plus sign, I add a video capture device. In this case, for both cameras, I do that and I set them to the specific input that they are. So in this case, I have an HD Pro webcam C920 as my camera. And I also have my camera 2, which is showing USB 3.0 HD video capture, but in reality, that's my Sony a6000 camera. After you get that set, you can look at my video stack. My video stack, I currently have 3 video output devices in here. The one is my video capture device. So you go to plus, you add your video capture device. In this case, I already have one. It's called, obviously, video capture device. But if you go into properties, it's just my HD60S Elgato card. I also have a browser monitor. So that's a display capture. So you go up to display capture, and then you pick the display that you want to use. So in this case, I have 3 displays to pick from. You could pick one of those as one of your display devices. Now, as you can see, I have a scene called game streaming. In order to add your scene, all you have to do is go to the plus sign, hit scene, and then choose from the list of scenes that you have. So in this case, what I have is my camera stack. You want to add that. And for instance, you want to add your video stack. So add both of those scenes within your scene. Now, with those 2 scenes added within your scene, you could do some really cool things. You could change your camera so that it changes from one to the other, or you could change your video output devices on the fly as well, so that you're not having to change scenes for different views. With settings on my Stream Deck, I can now do things like toggle the camera. Or I could toggle the video now between my video output devices. So you guys are probably wondering how I'm toggling the camera and the video output devices. All I'm really doing is on my Stream Deck, I'm just activating and deactivating my camera so that it gives that toggle effect. So if you want to see it on the actual Stream Deck, I could show you that as well. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick a blank box, and under the OBS Studio options, you're going to pick source and drag that into a box. Now, all you have to do is you have to pick the specific scene that camera is on. For instance, this is going to be your camera stack. So you pick your camera stack. And then you're going to pick the actual source. And in this case, it's the camera. Once you're done doing that, it'll make this icon activate and deactivate your camera. If you wanted to do another button for camera 2, you can do that as well. In this case, I'll just show you on this same icon. You just come down here, pick your camera 2, and now you can activate or deactivate your camera that way. And with that said, I already have one set up. So in this case, I would just be toggling my camera between the two that I have. So that's one of my most useful incorporations of using nested scenes is my camera and video stacks. It allows me to just quickly add all of my cameras and all my video feeds right into my scene without having to separately add each one of them. This will save you a lot of time, and it'll also be kind of cool because then you can toggle between each camera if you on the fly want to quick change views for your audience. Now, similar to example 1, example 2 is sound stacks. Now, how many of you, when you were streaming, had switched scenes and realized that you forgot to add your mic or add an output audio device, like let's say Spotify or maybe your browser sound or something like that? By using a sound stack as a nested scene, it'll bunch up all of those audio devices into one scene, and then you can incorporate that into all of your other scenes so that you're not missing any of your audio input or output devices. Now, quickly, we're going to add a sound stack. So first, you're going to want to go to scenes, plus sign there, and then just do sound stack. Now, to start, let's add our microphone. So we're going to go into our audio input capture. I already have it set up, so I have a microphone here. So I'm going to select microphone. I've now added my mic. Now, what I want to do is I want to add my Spotify sound. So I'm going to go to my audio output capture, and I have Spotify here. So I'm going to click on that, and now I'm adding Spotify. And now let's say I want to add my Discord sound because I really want to customize my sound options. Let's go to the plus sign here in sources. We're going to go to audio output, capture, and then we're going to click on Discord audio. Okay, so this is a basic sound stack. So it has the mic, my Spotify sound, and my Discord audio. So this is all under one specific scene. So what I can do now is let's make another scene, and we're going to call it test scene. Now all we have to do is we go into our sources, we're going to add a scene. And all I want to do to add all of my audio sources, I'm going to go to my sound stack here, click on that. That's one of the available scenes here. And now I've added my entire sound stack to a scene. So here you can see my Discord audio. If you scroll down here, you have my microphone. And also down here, I have Spotify. One thing to keep in mind is when I was adding my sound stack devices, those are specific devices that I use for my own streams. So for instance, when I'm using Spotify or if I'm using the Discord audio, those audios have already been set up on my end. I usually use Voicemeeter, which could be a whole entire video on how to segregate each one of your audio devices so that you can customize your sound volumes and all kinds of other customizations. But it was just to use as an example. You can set up your audio stack for whatever audio you decide you want to use. So you'll have to pick your audio devices and then you can use those for your stack. I just use some specific examples, but there is no Spotify option. There is no Discord option. You have to set those up and customize those yourself, but you can just set your output devices or input devices for your sound accordingly. So I just wanted to let you guys know that those aren't built-in OBS options. Those are just options of my own personal audio settings. My third example is special effects specifics. And what I mean by that is that if you use a source such as a camera and you put an effect on that, that is going to carry over onto every other scene that you add that camera to. So no matter what, if you add camera 1, for instance, to one of your scenes, and then on your next scene, you add camera 1 and you add a filter on that camera, it's going to carry over onto the other scene. So when you go over to the other scene, that effect is going to be on there. And that's kind of a big problem because sometimes you want to switch scenes and have your input devices have specific effect settings for them. And one way to do that, and I'm going to show you one example using a screen blur, that you need to use a nested scene for it to work. So one thing that I want to show you guys that's pretty cool is that there is a camera blur effect that I like to use in my background. As you can see, I have my camera over top of a blurred background, but that's actually my camera. As you can see, my hands moving underneath, it's blurred. And it adds kind of like a cool effect. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'll show you what the background looks like with the blurred background, and then I put my camera stack on top of that. And as I was saying before, what's kind of cool is, you know, I could change the camera and the blur still is whatever camera I decide to use. But before we get into that, I want to show you why we need to use nested scenes to make that kind of effect work. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what happens if you just set effects on a source itself and how it's going to affect your entire stream. So we're going to come in, I have my camera 2 here. We're going to go to filters, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the blur filter to camera 2, and I'm going to show you what happens when I do that. So I'm going to go to blur, I'm going to set the slider down so that it gets blurred out. Okay, so now if you look at my screen, you see that the camera is blurred all around. Now, when I go to other scenes, you're also going to notice that the camera is blurred in all of them. This is the kind of problem because you can't have the same camera, one being blurred and the other one on top of that doesn't have any effects on it because you've set an effect on the actual source. One way that we can actually customize our stream a lot better, and we can actually use our camera 2 with a blur effect and also have it without any effects on it, is using a nested scene. I'm going to go back now and I'm going to clear this filter. Now everything's back to normal. So what I've done is I've created a scene called camera blur test. Within camera blur test, I have my camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my camera blur test scene. So we're not doing the filter on the camera 2 source, we're doing it on camera blur test scene. So right click on your scene, and now you want to go to filters. And with that, you want to hit the plus sign, and we're going to add the blur effect. So let's go to blur. And now let's set the slider. Okay, the slider's set, so now you're seeing is blurred. But if I go to my other scenes, you can see my camera is completely fine. Same thing on my other one. The camera's completely fine and it's unaffected. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna show you how to overlay your camera 2 on top of your blur effect so that you can utilize the effect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add my blur effect to this scene. I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to go to scene. We just created the camera blur test scene. So let's go to camera blur test. We're going to hit OK. Now, as you can see, that put the blur effect on top of my scene. So I could set where I want to put it. I have my camera 2 and I have my camera blur test scene. So now I'm just going to set it right underneath. My camera is completely clear, and now I've created the scene that makes it blurry, which is great because now I can actually customize what I do with my camera. I can have effects on my camera for a specific scene and incorporate that within a scene so it doesn't affect the camera on the entire stream setup. That example is just one of many that you can use that further proves that you need to be using nested scenes in your streaming setups to, one, make things easier, but also you could do a lot more customization if you use nested scenes. In the example I used with the blur effect, that cannot be done unless you do a nested scene. Well, listen guys, I hope that you found my video to be helpful, and I also hope that you guys play around with it and mess around with nested scenes of your own to find out like how you can utilize that, or how you like to incorporate your effects, or just try using nested scenes in a way that nobody's ever done before. There's so much creativity out there, and really there's so much room for customization. OBS is really good for that. It allows streamers to be extremely creative and find new ways of doing things. And there's so many people out there that are better at it than I am. But I at least feel like I could give you a little bit of insight on why you should be using nested scenes and some of the benefits that make it worthwhile. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. And before you all rush to try it out for yourselves, check the description below for my Twitch page. It's twitch.tv/theroguevanian. As you all know, I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Also in the description below is the link to my Twitter page. And if you guys like this video, hit like, subscribe, or hit the bells for notifications on new videos when they get posted. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day or night, and I'll catch you all later.
Behind you.
Boom.
Oh,
Magnus, you're done. Get out.
Ah, damn it. These guys, man.
Bye.
They need to get out of their basements, and they need to...
Dude, I don't know, man.
Play.
I'm... Oh, all right. What are you talking about, dude?